Hello, friends from Cinco Razones Deportes Network, also from 5 Reasons Sports Network. We're back with episode number 4 of the Black and Pink Show, this time with Austin Robillard, all the way in Los Angeles for the first game of the Inter Miami, the MLS debut for Inter Miami this season. They lost 1-0 with a Carlos Vela goal, but it was a great experience watching all the people that went there to Los Angeles to try to support the team, and it looked like a fun experience. But Austin, who's there, who's in Los Angeles, is gonna tell us exactly what happened, exactly how they enjoyed those moments before the game, during the game, and also after the game, despite the loss to Los Angeles. It was a hard game. It was a hard-fought game, 1-0. A couple of good saves from Robles, a couple of good chances for Inter Miami. But sadly for Inter, they lost in their first game in history in the MLS. But let's let Austin Robillard tell us exactly what happened there in Los Angeles and see exactly how everything went on in the streets of LA.
Thanks, Alejandro. I want to start off by talking about the fans. Big shout out to the Siege, to Southern Legion, to Vice City, all for coming out. I mean, the support they showed was absolutely insane. They had a whole section to themselves at the Bank of California Stadium, making their presence known before the game. A long march to the stadium from I think it's called Banditos, a taco bar. Everybody was in full support there, including a very special guest in David Beckham, who showed up and said hi to everybody, took pictures, and got us extremely hyped for the match. It was a great honor for him to come and say hi. It just shows how much, he's invested with both the team and the fans. You always love to see that in an organization. The chants were going, the flags were flying, smoke was going out, and we marched down the streets of LA all the way to the stadium. And I mean, they couldn't contain us. We were having a great time. So yeah, like I said, to anybody who came out, big shout out to you guys. You did amazing. Siege, Vice City, and Southern Legion, great job. It was just a great experience to be there as a fan. Unfortunately, I didn't sit in the away section. They had the whole section to themselves, but they definitely made their presence known. I could tell from where I was sitting. It was just awesome to see. But when it was, compared to LAFC, I mean, LAFC, shout out to them too. I mean, their culture, their fan base there is absolutely amazing, and it's something that I hope Inter Miami can replicate. It was quite the experience being an away fan. But I think we did a great job. All the supporters of Inter Miami did a great job. And I think we made everybody proud, including the team. So I do want to talk a little bit about the game. We'll start off with the starting lineup. It is, I think, the exact lineup that I predicted on the first ever 305 Live, or the first episode of the Black and Pink Show, other than the striker, because, we've had some injuries. But we'll start with, I think, maybe our man of the match, Luis Robles in the back, our captain, our keeper. He was phenomenal. He put in quite the shift. Our defense was lacking at times, and I feel like he stepped up in such a big way. So if it weren't for someone I'll talk about in a little bit, Luis Robles would get my man of the match. He was so vital, and some of the saves he made were world class, and that's why I was so happy that we got him, because even at 35 years old or 36, whatever he is, he's still a phenomenal keeper. We'll go on to the wing backs. We'll start with a more positive one. Ben Sweat started off the game at left back, started off the game a little slow. He was getting beat, and he did step it up. It was a little shaky at first from him, but when it came to the second half, he started to move forward more, get involved in play, came back defensively, was really solid. But overall, not the greatest performance from him, and hopefully, he carries on like he did in the second half for the rest of the season, because that would be, a good quality left back, and yeah, so if he can bring those NYCFC ways and do well for us back there, I think he'll be solid. Just give him a couple more games. I mean, it's the first game, of course, for all these players. So give him a couple more games to settle in. I think the nerves were there in the first half for sure for everybody. But, yeah, so Ben Sweat was solid. Then we'll start with we'll go on to Nico Figal. By far my man of the match for Inter Miami. He was absolutely amazing. This signing it's looking like our best signing so far. We'll see what Pizarro can do throughout the season, but Nico Figal was aggressive. He was strong. He got in so many tackles. He moved forward. He started attacks. Even the last-ditch tackles and being aggressive. I mean, you can't say enough about his performance. It was a great performance, and if he can stay like that all season, and I mean, he'll be probably named the Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, there's no other center back that seemed close to him in any of the other MLS games. He was so vital to this team, and I think that his performance really helped Inter Miami in this game, going forward and from the back. So Nico Figal, he's one to look out for the rest of the season. Really happy we have him. We do need to appreciate him because there's not a lot of MLS defenders like him. He is quite the talent, so very happy to have him. Moving on to Roman Torres. Torres started off the game pretty shaky. I think he ended up he had some, good plays and stuff, but overall performance was not the quality that we're used to seeing from Torres. Torres was always considered one of the best center backs in the league, or the most consistent. Yesterday seemed a little shaky. The whole back line, just as a whole, seemed shaky. There were a couple of questionable decisions Torres made, a couple of bad clearances, and then he ultimately led to the Carlos Vela goal. I mean, Nico Figal came back and put in a great tackle, and he was just kind of in the way, and the ball deflected and got right back to Vela's feet. But, it is what it is. It was unlucky, to say the least. But Torres, hopefully he comes around throughout the season, because if we can see, the Torres that we do usually get to see paired with Figal, it's a pretty good center back pairing. So let's hope for that. But yeah, just an average performance from Torres. You'd like to see a little more. Moving on to Alvis Powell, probably our worst performer on the day. Man, it was rough to watch. He seemed lost at times. There were balls that were just going over his head. He wasn't making good passes. He was kicking balls that should be going down the wing out of bounds. People were just blowing by him throughout the entire match. And I don't know. There's no way for me that Alvis Powell gets a start against DC United on Saturday. I don't know. It'd be surprising if he does, if he shows something out in training. Fair play to him, but I really think that Diego Alonso should give the rookie Dylan Nealis a shout like he did in the first preseason game. Alvis Powell was very, very, very disappointing. I was a little high on him coming in, being that Jamaican international, being such an important piece for the national team, for the Jamaican national team. You would like to see a little more, but Alvis Powell overall, there's disappointing performance. And then we have the two midfielders, Will Trapp and Victor Ulloa. When it came to protecting the back line, I think both of them didn't do the greatest job. But when it came to moving forward and interceptions in the midfield, I think we control that area pretty well. Will Trapp, I think, when you look at the advanced stats, he was one of the best performers on the field, completing so many of his passes. And then later on in the match, his presence was really felt early on. You didn't really feel his presence, but it was just solid. And then later on, he was really putting in a shift. Victor Ulloa, unfortunately, went down injured. It looked like just cramps, but we hope it's just cramps and he can come back, because he did play pretty solid. Lee Win was subbed on for him, and, that creativity helped down the stretch from Lee Win, because that's not, Victor Ulloa's type of play. But Victor Ulloa overall, good performance. I think that if we do bring in Agustin Almendra, he fits right into the team. He's that box-to-box midfielder that we really need. Not to say, like I said, not to say that Wiltrap and Ujol were bad, but if Almendra's in there, I think his link-up play with Pizarro at the number 10 role would be, perfect. It's someone that could get forward and can defend. Victor Ujol and Wiltrap getting forward, not the greatest. But if Almendra is that box-to-box midfielder that we've seen him be at Boca at such a young age, I think that that'd be a great signing for us, and he'd slot right into the team as a starter. Probably over Ujol. I think Wiltrap did play well, so if Almendra comes in, I think you do see him start over Ujol. So moving on, we'll go with the wingers. I'll start with the more disappointing one in Matthias Pellegrini, our first ever designated player. He, I don't know. He seemed out of it today. He got tired early. There wasn't much coming from him. I think there were a couple crosses he put in and that were unsuccessful, but he did have one nice shot at the end of the box on his left foot. One of the 6 or 7 shots on goal that we had, which was, it was a good shot, cut in from the right. But overall, it was kind of an underwhelming performance. You would have liked to see more from the Argentinian, just because he was hyped up so much and was said to be one of our best players, especially, we're signing him as a DP. But I think with a couple more games, he'll be a lot more effective going forward. And then on the other side, there's Lewis Morgan. To me, probably our best attacker yesterday. Lewis Morgan was involved in a lot of the play. I think the triangle between him and Torres in the midfield, and then even going forward with Robinson was really good. You can tell he's extremely confident. Like I said, watching his tapes at Celtic, it translated almost perfectly to the game yesterday. He was not afraid to take a shot. They even set up a corner for him to take a volley at the end of the box, which he struck, but wasn't successful. I think he had another shot on his left foot from outside the box that was on target. But he was making plays. He was running down the wing, linking up with Pizarro and Robinson a lot. It wasn't a terrible performance by him by any means. It was actually, for me, very, very, very solid. And I think he's someone to look out for. And if we do end up signing a good number 9 and Pizarro comes into his own, Lewis Morgan is going to be a really important piece. So moving on to Pizarro. Pizarro, he didn't get on the ball as much as he would like. He seemed like he couldn't connect with any of our players. He's obviously our newest acquisition, and he didn't have much time to train with the team. But it just seemed when you look at the Tampa game in preseason, right when he got subbed on, he was so impactful. In the few clips that I saw, he seemed extremely impactful against Tampa, which is a USL team. I will say that, but he seemed a little out of it today. Couldn't connect with anybody. There were times where he would get frustrated when he missed a pass because somebody didn't make the run that he wanted, or something like that. But he's still our most talented player. There's no question about that. And every week he'll be in that starting 11 because he's just so good. And Diego Alonso knows him well. And I think that all these little things, all the interplay will get made up for. Diego Alonso will absolutely fix it. But yeah. So up top, Robbie Robinson started. Carranza out with an injury. And then we also saw Agudelo get injured in preseason, and he started that game and started up top. But then when the starting lineups were announced, Agudelo was there as a sub. So I guess Robbie Robinson absolutely just outbeat Agudelo for the number 9 role, with Carranza out injured, including Kiesewetter. Didn't see any of him. Wasn't even in the 18. So Robbie Robinson got the start. I won't say that he put in a bad performance at all. He was making runs. He bodied a lot of defenders. He was trying to get in. I think he did a little too much at times, getting forward, trying to dribble a little too much, I just you don't want to discourage him because he's a rookie, and not a lot of rookies in MLS start off extremely well straight out of the Super Draft. You don't see that very often. But this is a kid who was by far the best player in college soccer last year, who put in so many goals, even had assists. So this is a guy that we know he has talent, and we were feeding him as much as we possibly could. Not in a way that Diego Alonso actually desires. Alonso is not the manager who likes to enforce long balls, which we saw a lot of today. He was going over the top. The team was going over the top a lot, and it's not exactly Alonso's style of play, but they adapted, and that was the play that was, getting us chances. We did have 7 shots on goal. When you look at the stats, other than possession, we were right on par with LA. There were so many chances that if the ball was struck just a little bit better, we're scoring goals every single time. Same thing with LAFC. There's no question that we had chances and we should have finished. But I think Robinson, if need be, if Carranza's out injured for a good amount of time, he's not a terrible number 9 to have up top. You do wish that we would sign, a DP number 9. But, it is what it is. Back to the chances. Everybody, creativity going forward was good. And, that's the football that we are promised. And I think there's still room for a little more creativity. It's just the team still has to have some – we have a little bit of chemistry issue, I think. And once that chemistry builds, we will definitely be able to create better chances and definitely become more efficient and score those chances. But even without that chemistry, you still saw their keeper, Vermeer, win man of the match. And Pizarro's quote at the end of the game was, the man of the match was their goalkeeper, so I think this is a lot about our play, which it absolutely does. The play was not bad at all. I think that with a little more, confidence with everybody working together and the team, playing as an entire unit, we could be a pretty good MLS team. And we showed that against the best team in MLS last year in their home stadium. So, yeah, there was a lot of positives, a couple negatives. You want the defense to get solid, the attack to become more efficient, but overall it was a good performance. And definitely looking forward to the game on Saturday against DC. I'll also be there, so we'll do more pregame stuff. We have another episode of the Black and Pink Show coming out on Wednesday. Alejandro will talk to you about that with a special guest that will be joining us. And so after that, we'll be live from DC. We'll see you guys then. Thank you.